Hey, welcome, all my right thinkers. Thanks for tuning in to check out your boy, P Funk, thinking right, out here in the lab, in the wee hours of the morning when I do what I do for you. Ho, 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 ho. Put your seatbelts on, right thinkers? We about to take a trip. Let's go. Right is a 25 rule led by storytelling, story with a message is a story for life. These are life lessons. You tuning in and receiving them. Numbers going good. Boy, I sure appreciate you. Let's do what we do. I got something for you. Right Thinkers mission. Yeah, and I'm on it. Is to enlighten, inspire, educate, and motivate you, the individual, to a higher spiritual level of enlightenment. Remember, higher, raise it, pump it up, pump it up. When I first started showing people the Mayat side, I see people doing this in Mayat. I said, no, we ain't raising the roof. We just leveling out the scales. Okay. Right thinking way of life through mental and spiritual discipline daily will help and guide you to obtain your goal of spiritual enlightenment, aka know thyself. That's the goal of all right thinkers, and that's my mission, that you all achieve that goal by doing what you're supposed to do. When I tell you to do, you follow the instruction, leads you right to where you want to go, yourself. Know thyself is the question. That's the goal. Let's go. A person who knows not and knows not that they know not is foolish. Disregard them. A person who knows not and knows that they know not is simple. You teach them. That's what I do. What I do for you. Stay tuned. I got you. A person who knows not and believe that they know is, dangerous. Avoid them. I do. I ain't even got time for that. A person who knows but knows not that they know is asleep. I can awaken them spiritually. Spiritual alarm clock. My job is to wake you up with knowledge of self. Got a good one for you today. A person who knows and knows that they know is wise. Follow them. All these persons reside in you. Right thing is know thyself. And to my eye, be true. Nope, just that. Level, balance. The whole key is to stay balanced. Excuse me. Now, some things you just wait to do, and like giving birth, you go for 9 months. I only go a few days, but just the idea of getting something off your chest and getting something out. That's how I feel about this lesson right here. I've been dying to get this one out, so let's go. Right thinkers, let's talk about how you can outwit your ego, aka Satan, or some people, the devil. The definition, understand this. The definition of the devil, Satan, or the ego is opposition to God. Understand, if we have God, we have to create the devil. But the question is, where is the devil? Let's go talk about it. It's all about the conscious, subconscious, and unconscious. But it's all about your mentality, what you think about, how you think, and what you was given to think about. So that's all important. But outwitting your ego, aka Satan, is the goal of all right thinkers. That's controlling the ego. It still comes back to doing right over wrong, but you have a choice. If you think right living, you're outwitting your ego self, aka the devil. If you're a right thinker, you're on the right track to what? Defeat, to conquer your ego, to control and know thyself, higher self, not the lower. The lower is the ego. He wants you to stay there. You keep hearing me saying the spirit is the falcon. Why? Because he's up there. The ego has down here. Earth, hell, up there, heaven. Get the concept? So lower and higher. Upper and lower, same thing. You can't have one without the other. So if you got God, you got to create the devil. So that's all on you. In my favorite movie. Oh, excuse me, no. Now, if you're ignorant of your higher self, and like 85% of us are, your ego will run your life. And like Most things going on in society badly. Wake up, get knowledge of self, and become your best self. All the other stuff that's going around you is going to do that anyway. But if you do what you need to do, all the other stuff will still be all that other stuff. It's not, listen. In my favorite movie, Crossroads, is where you make your deal with your ego, aka the devil. When you tell your ego what you want and it returns, okay, you can have that, but you got to do this. And 9 times what it wants you to do is not always good and beneficial to you. Hence, selling your soul and your ego will take control. The devil, aka your ego self, thinks, watch this, is God. And it wants to be served by you. So it will keep you in the serving position. Gotta do this, gotta do that, gotta do that, gotta fulfill that ego, and the ego, your desire will never ever be filled. So you chasing your tail, you'll never get there. When you reach higher consciousness, when you reach that knee-high spiritual enlightenment, you all know all of that. It's part of the lesson. Your ego would tell you, we want to be rich and famous. We want to be well known. But it'll never tell you it wants to know itself because it don't want you to know yourself. Hope you're getting this. This is a lesson. This is a good one. I hope a good life lesson because this is what it's all about. If you're a self-server, you are serving your ego. When you feel like you're spiritual or you're religious, you try to serve your higher self, which is God. At least with religion, they get you to aspire to serve a higher person, even if it is Jesus. That don't make a difference to me. Again, if that's what gets you to do what you need to do, by all means, work that concept. I'm like, Bob, it's only a concept. Believe it or not, you can change concept. You can change your belief like that. Excuse me. The most important thing is knowing thyself. And by doing that, you are outwitting your ego self. A lot of us fall victim to our ego. Until we start getting some insight, some understanding from a different perspective, you can't give yourself a different perspective. You can only learn and comprehend something different from outside you that had to become in. If you haven't tapped into your Akashic record, if you haven't reached the level of spiritual enlightenment, you ain't thinking on one level lower. Understand that. Gaining self-knowledge, which is the best knowledge, again, to have to what? Defeat your ego self. What defeats the ego ignorance? aka self? Knowledge of self. Okay, that's what I give you. Your ego self can only be beaten or defeated with what? Self-knowledge, knowledge of self, aka spiritual truth that you can stand on as the foundation and build as high as you want and go as far as you want with knowledge of self. You're unlimited. Yeah, I was led by my lower self, aka ego. Excuse me. Until when? Until I woke up and took control of me and put my ego aside to work for me, not run me. All ego, pure ego. Me, I. Gotta get, gotta have, gotta do. Okay? A lot of it was wrong. Sorry. Your ego self, trust me, is ignorant and it don't care about your higher self. Knowledge of self is reaching the next level, and that's how you conquer your ego. If you haven't reached spiritual enlightenment, if you haven't gotten over your ego, you're still ignorant. When you become spiritually enlightened, here you go. You have done what? Outwitted the ego. With what? Knowledge of self, spiritual truth. You live them, and the ego will have to take a back seat. Why? Because he know now he's not in control no more. But he will fight. I tell you, I hear some people think they enlighten you. You gotta kill the ego. No, you don't kill the ego. The ego is you. You don't kill you. You kill off the old you, the concept of the ego being in charge. No, he got to get over. They got a picture with a head, with two heads on the body. This is Haru. This is the ego. If you choose to let the ego overshadow Haru, then you'll go through life with feathers, problems, issues, ongoing drama because you haven't conquered your ego. He's running the show badly, most likely. All right, watch this. You have to be a right thinker. For what? In order to outwit your ego self. Why? Because if you're ignorant of it, you letting it run and you just going through life. And a lot of people are successful who are ego driven. This is why their egoistic tendencies never stop until they eventually get old or they get wise and realize, I've been wasting my time all this. Yeah. If you 65 years old and you still chasing 30-year-old women, you have missed the boat. Trust me on that one. If I meet a young lady, oh, you love me? Yeah. How old are you? 30. Where's your mother? What? I'm not dealing with you. You're a kid. Gentlemen or fellas, brothers, stop encouraging these young people to chase after older men. Deal with somebody your own age. You deal with somebody your own age. Cradle robbers. All right, stop. But let me get back to the lesson. All right, that again, the ego said, yeah. See, that's all flesh. That's all meat. That's all I. Ain't nothing godly about that. I told many young ladies, I said, you need to get yourself together. Yeah, that's strange. Why? Because that's what I do. I teach. I enlighten. I ain't trying to take advantage of nobody because I want some pleasure. Are you crazy? Sorry, again. Drifting is what the ego call it, is not thinking right. And that's what it is. Your ego loves all you drifters. Why? Because he can control you and get you to go any way he wants because you're not in control. Right thinking is the only way to keep your ego self at bay. When? Day to day. That's why I do it every day. If I don't think right today, my ego self will get in position to do what it wants me to do. And that may not be what I want to do. As long as I'm doing what I want to do, the ego have to acquiesce to what I tell it to do. That's using it to your benefit. Your ego, watch this, is the fight in you. That ego is what, that's the ego. But it shouldn't, it's a good servant, hell of a servant, but it's a terrible leader. Like most of our people. I'm moving on, I ain't going there. All right, the ego. Fight. Just use it to do what's right. And it will do that. It will fight off Apophis, which is the real evil one. So don't think the ego is evil. No, it's just self-serving. That's you. So it ain't nothing else. It's you. The devil is you. God is you. How about that? Can't have one like the other. The question is, who you want to choose? It's your choice. He gave you free will. He gave you conscience. He gave you everything you need so that you can do what you need to do to know you. That's my goal, to teach you to do just that. That's it. Now, I found my way to control my ego self after years of practicing and training, right thinking, right living, right action. That's how you defeat the ego. Why? I'm going to do what's right. I'm programmed to do the right thing. Why? Because that's the right thing to do in any situation. It ain't about me. It ain't about it's about doing what's right. And then I feel better about myself. I hate to deal with a situation and say, I didn't really deal with that. Yeah, so that's called self-reflecting. I do that all the time. So handling my business in a balanced fashion, a good fashion, where I stay calm, I'm staying under control, I'm cool. That's right thinking philosophy in a nutshell. And we all had the opportunity to do that. It's called practice. Or I call it putting in the work. Watch this. Drifters are ignorant of their what? The devil intention. Why? Because they're ignorant. They don't know. So they let it do what it do. Right thinkers have knowledge of self, so we don't get caught up drifting and not knowing what we're doing things for who. How you do that? I don't know. I raised my son. Every time I asked him what he did, why he did it, he had an answer. Because if he didn't, that meant I'm going to take care of the problem. If you understand it, then I figure you would take care of it. That's why I asked. So to do something, I don't know. Oh, I'm whooping you. I'm tearing you up. Why? Next time, know what the hell you're doing. That's all in life. That's just consequences of your actions. You should know what you're doing before you do it. Why? Because there's some consequences that come behind that, aka karma. Let's get to the lesson. I'm almost done. Whoa, whoa, this is really going long. Let me get back to the lesson. Told you there's going to be a lot of stuff going on here, and I got a lot of ideas. Now, let's talk about the drifters. The devil calls all his followers, and he tells you it's a show called Outwitting the Devil, and he have a conversation with the devil, and the devil is so smug. He tells you out of every 100 so-called believers, 98 of them is following him. Only 2% know God for themselves. Now, you thought 5% was good. No, I'm a 2%. The devil don't mess with me. Why? I'm a hard nut to crack. That's why. If something's hard, most people leave it alone. The devil, if he can't manipulate your ego, can't manipulate you, he'll leave you alone. Now you got the control. But if you are weak, soft, and ignorant, he's going to have his way. The devil loves drifters, aka ignorant people, so he can run their lives. He don't care. It don't make a difference to him. The drifters are what? Also believers of the devil's well-dressed lie, aka religions. With an S, plural. All of them. Simple. Okay. You know how I feel about that. The big three. Okay. Religions, here you go, are the devil's intention to what? Enslave all those who follow it. The Bible don't free you. Religion don't free you. It enslaves you with its doctrines and its concepts that was purposely done to do just that. And for over 2,000 years in Rhoda, it's the number one religion. That means you got a bunch of people following a lie. I'm going on. I got that's another lesson. I get to that one too. I love that one. Why? Because y'all swear to God, y'all got something. I know better. So you swear to God, you believe it, don't mean nothing. I know. Losing every time. Moving on. The devil is created by who? You, not God. Humans are devils in the flesh also. Why? Because of that little thing we call ego. You are who you believe and think you are. If you think it's all about you, you're devilish. If you believe you serve your higher self, you worship in the higher power, which is God, and which is really you. But you got to realize that it takes knowledge and practice and living and doing the right thing for that to happen for you. It's automatic. I can't sell it to you. I can't give it to you. I can show you how to get it for yourself. That's right. Think of philosophy's goal. Let me get back to the lesson. The same way the devil will use any means necessary to keep you under his control, your ego will fight tooth and nail to keep control. But once you defeat it, it will fight tooth and nail to do what you want it to do. It's going to do the same fight. It just had to be guided. It had to be controlled, manipulated to do it when you need it to, not when it wants to, because that's all it wants to do. Okay, understand that. The same, okay, here you go. We did that. Okay, now, when you practice right thing philosophy, you're outwitting the devil in you. That's true. Why? Because when you know thyself, you know the ego is the one who edging God out, and you want to be God conscious all the time. So the ego had to acquiesce. It cannot run the show. It's got to go. Last one. Your ego hates who? Right thing. And he tells you his worst enemy is somebody who thinks for themselves. If you know me, affirmation 21, I'm totally responsible for all my actions and everything I do. I know that. I'm fully aware of that. And I take full responsibility for that. Because I know thyself, myself. Okay? Here you go. The one enemy of your ego self is knowledge. Ego is ignorant of that. So when you get knowledge, you can override the ego and put him in check, so to speak. That's what it's all about. But until you do that, he's going to run him up. Trust me. And the how, excuse me, I'm the devil's worst enemy. Why? Because I'm obedient to my higher self, not my ego self. That's what right thinkers should do. Always aspire to do and be better for your higher self, not giving to your lower self. That's desires and pleasures that really get you nowhere. Self-satisfaction is just that. Self-satisfaction. It don't do nothing but satisfy you. That's what the ego wants, just to be satisfied. So as long as you're doing that, he's happy. He'll let you do all that. Sell drugs, run women, do all that nonsense. Oh, he's loving that. God ain't having none of that. So now you got to make the decision. You want to serve you? You want to serve him? Let's go. In the holy war, that's called the holy war, is in our head and heart, not working in harmony together. The ego is on its own accord. I tell you, heart-mind coherence. When the heart connects with the mind and they vibrate on the same frequency, you are God conscious. You are aware of yourself. You become an enlightened being. You're spiritually enlightened. Why? Because you know. And you know both ways, consciously and mentally, that you are who you believe you are, your higher self in the flesh. The knowledge of self exposes the ego and puts it what? To work, to fight off the real evil, which is Apophis or its fit. Chaos and evil. They got identities of their own. We teach you that. We taught that thousands of years ago. Why our young people don't have a clue about these things? A lot of grown people ain't got a clue about these things. So my point is we need to start getting knowledge of things that will serve us, not knowledge of things that we got to forget we was taught when we start becoming conscious and getting real knowledge. Start out with our real knowledge when I was young. Let me wrap this up here. I'm going off. When you live right, win daily, you're damning the devil and glorifying God, your higher self, aka right thinkers. That's what you want to do. That's what we aspire to do. I'll be back. I got more for you.